think this has been one of the highly requested conversations. Living with a spouse or partner is associated with reduced odds of lifetime depression. And there was a study found that cohabiting individuals had a 33% lower chance of experiencing depression compared to those not living with a partner. How does depression typically manifest in one or both partners within a marriage? And maybe why is it often misunderstood or overlooked?
Depression is not just a concept, it's a reality. Research has been done. One of the benefits of marriage is that we are seeing even financial stability.
Depression as a word has been misused.
This depression is on a spectrum. It can be mild, moderate, or severe. How does someone know, okay, now I need help, I need support, and the support of a professional? Welcome back to Reality Check. We are glad you're back again with us. If you are new here, welcome to this channel. We care for hearts and minds. And we have conversations in the areas of mental health, where your family is concerned, relationships, marriage, and the workplace. And so if that's something that you would like to hear more about, get educated on how to better take care of your mental health, then you're in the right place. Consider subscribing and share this channel and episode with a friend. My name is Rachel Mwine. I'm your host, and I'm joined by two lovely ladies. One who is our resident therapist, Dr. Eva Satwine. She is the founder at International Center for Mental Health and Family Care, and she provides therapy support alongside our guest, Dorcas Masekese. I think you're no longer a guest at this point. Yeah, you are about to start sitting in for Dr. Eva every once in a while. Yeah, she's a you're a child therapist. Child and adolescent therapist. I feel like in the day and age that we're in, more and more we see, or maybe we're more aware of children going through mental health challenges, whether that's depression, stress, effects of, divorce, trouble at home, trouble at school. And so if you're watching and your child is dealing with something difficult that maybe is beyond you, please make an appointment with Dorcas at ICFC and plan to see her. Okay, we are at the Suma Coffee House and Wellness Center. It's located here in Kamocha, just above the shop at Total Energies. And so if you're in town and you're looking for a space to work with healthy juices and healthy meals and some amazing supplements that we're going to talk about briefly. This one's called Youth Ever, and it's perfect for you if you want to rejuvenate yourself, right? And look younger, feel younger. You can come by and get yourself one or have it delivered to you. I actually didn't know they had beauty products as well. If you're into taking care of your skin, this is a Youth Essence Cream, also perfect for your skin and giving you that youthful look. Make sure you get yourself one. And then, of course, the soap. This one's called Anatic Herbal Essence Soap. So amazing products for your face, for your just overall well-being, physical and otherwise. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
It's good to be back again with you. Today we want to have a conversation on depression in marriage, and I think this has been one of the highly requested conversations, but also from their work, the people that they meet, the married people that they meet, I think it has become apparent that we need to have this conversation. There are some statistics that I came across that I wanted to run through very quickly. This one I know Dr. Evas is always talking about. She says living with a spouse or partner is associated with reduced odds of lifetime depression. And there was a study found that cohabiting individuals had a 33% lower chance of experiencing depression compared to those not living with a partner. So cohabitation, marriage, if you're living with someone, the chances of you having depression are significantly lower. But we're about to discover that that's not the case. Marital conflict directly leads to increases in depression and functional impairment. That is also true because we talk about 80% of your overall well-being being derived from your marriage relationship or your relationship at home. Research indicates that unresolved marital issues can exacerbate depressive symptoms, affecting both partners' daily functioning. So that's scary. Yeah. So on the one hand, we are seeing statistics show us that if you're married, the chances of you being depressed are much lower. But we were discussing before we came on the air that that is actually not the truth, at least from what we are seeing today. We see more and more married couples coming into the counseling rooms, the therapy rooms to say we're struggling. So maybe as a starting point to both of you, how does depression typically manifest in one or both partners within a marriage? And maybe why is it often misunderstood or overlooked? Maybe someone can be described as, I'm going to put it in Luganda, okwekoza. Like they're being childish, so to speak. But yeah, let's discuss how depression typically manifests.
Okay, I'll go first.
Please.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, our viewers. This is one of the hardest conversations, but it's a reality. Depression is not just a concept, it's a reality, and it's happening. And the statistics you just shared, I just wanted to again give context. Why depression in marriage? Isn't it an irony?
It is.
This is like, I keep asking myself and others that just remember when you got married, when don't worry if some of you who have gone to church to sign, you remember that moment where you're signing your certificate. How about when you agreed to move in? But let me talk about signing, that you're signing for depression. How many people would sign? Like, who would sign that certificate? I just actually, it reminds me of one time we had a nutritionist talk to us, and she was emphasizing the effect of poor feeding, overfeeding, especially on our health. And so she used an illustration of a meal served, and so she said, supposing there was a menu, dish 1 is diabetes, dish 2 is high blood pressure, hypertension, dish 3 is arthritis, dish 4. So she had like so many, and so she said, and they said, come and serve. How many of you would go serve and get a plate, put diabetes,
some arthritis, some hypertension,
some vegetables of I don't know what? But and it made a lot of sense to me. Like, if we knew what we are signing up for,
how many of us would
go there? But so I was using it as an illustration. Like, all of us, when we get married, none of us is expecting depression. Secondly, that this relationship is the is the deepest relationship on earth, because the next relationship is a relationship we have with our Heavenly Father. But on earth, at interpersonal level, this is the most intimate and most rewarding relationship, or the relationship with the highest potential to reward us, right? Both physically, emotionally, mentally, in all aspects, even financially, by the way, because I think I've shared statistics here that people who research has been done, and one of the benefits of marriage is that we are seeing even financial stability. You see, so it is a big thing, and of course I've shared about the mental health, emotional health, that it contributes 80% health.
It's a lot.
Health and wellness. If you're married, just to know that your relationship supplies that amount of wellness and stability. So we start there. But then again, in terms of giving context, I wanted to show then how depression happens. The biggest currency in marriage is love. Right? So we start there.
Yeah.
Right? Now, depression is the absence of love. Oh, what am I saying? So let me show you. So the opposite of love is what?
Hate.
Is hate. The opposite of love is rejection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? So human nature was created to desire acceptance.
Yes.
And so love is a big currency.
Yeah.
Love is a big currency. That's why when we are connecting at the start of marriage, we say, I love you. We don't say, I reject you. So that's why I was saying, how many of us, someone walks up to you and says, I reject you. And you say, let's go.
Yeah.
You see, so that's I wanted to give it that context. So we start off at the point of, I love you. Now, so that is the investment and that's the currency. I love you. Love. Now, love is a powerful emotion. Love is powerful. I've heard people say it's not an emotion. Love is an emotion. It is an emotion. It's powerful for connection. It's powerful for replenishing. You know, every time. I mean, I can tell when I tell you I love you, you can, and I've said it. Do you know when you're loved, you glow? Have you seen young people married? When they are loved, they have what we call love glow, love weight. You know, that love weight. You look at someone, you're like, wow, they are loved.
Yeah.
So love is powerful. And so when we connect at that level. And so there's a difference between love and rejection. There's a difference between love and hate. So you can't love and hate at the same time. So what happens is that when someone says they love you, you draw towards them, you gravitate towards them, right? And so you invest your emotional resources. You trust. You feel secure. You feel secure, and we have talked about it here that security and trust and those are core. Those are core to a relationship because human nature gravitates towards warmth, towards security, towards protection. We run away from fire, but we draw towards warmth. And so that's what love is. Now, when we get in there in a relationship, then we experience that. We experience love. We want love. We expect love.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is that because none of us expects or desires to be rejected, to be unaccepted, then that's where rejection comes from. That's when depression starts. So what is depression? It is a state of extreme sadness, prolonged sadness, intense sadness. And the intensity is in proportion to the expectation. Okay? Because if I'm in a relationship with Dorcas, you know, like some random Dorcas. Now, Dorcas is not But you see, in relationships, there is an amount of emotions invested. So not every relationship has the same amount of emotional investment. This is a relationship that has the highest emotional voltage. This is where our lives are invested. I think I've mentioned it in one of our shows, and I've seen people say, oh, marriage is a scam. It actually isn't a scam. It's people who scam it.
That's true.
He said it is not.
Yeah.
Marriage is good. That's why God said marriage it's not good to be alone.
Yes.
He knew that loneliness, we actually in psychology we are seeing people are dying more of loneliness than poverty.
Yeah.
You see, so this is a very, very important relationship. This is where you put your everything, you put your future, you put your hopes, you put everything, and you're growing with someone.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that now so you've put hope. So, and I want to emphasize hope. When you put in a relation, you invest trust, you invest hope. You're hoping that your future is together.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is that when you do not get the same amount, when that is not reciprocated, or your hopes begin to be dashed,
Yeah.
then you become hopeless. Hopeless. So then we get into that state. So now, I again, Rachel, can I just say something and I'll keep quiet. I'll give Dorcas to talk. Now, so please note, let me clarify that there's a difference between stress and depression.
Yeah.
Stress is a reaction. It's a reaction, the bodily reaction towards external unpleasant pressure points. Now, sometimes stress is normal. Life is stressful. You can be in a marriage, you get stressed one day, and the following day you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay. But then when you have a trigger, because remember I said a trigger, pressure, there's a trigger, that there's something that triggers that reaction.
Yeah.
So, and different marriages have different triggers. So if you have a challenge, maybe a disagreement, let me be light here. You have a disagreement, you talked, someone didn't listen to you, you wanted to really vent, then someone says, dismisses it and says only that, then you're going to feel stressed. But you're not, tomorrow, when they come in the evening, you're able to talk about it, but you had stress, right?
Yeah.
But then when that trigger is not resolved, then you're going to have stress today, stress tomorrow, another day. Now, let me help people understand. When we say stress, the body is activating stress hormones.
Yeah.
Stress hormones, I will illustrate it using malaria parasites. So sometimes we are found with malaria scanty parasites, and so you don't deal with it. Like they are just scanty.
Okay.
The more you do not deal with it, remove those scanty malaria parasites, they are going to multiply. Then you'll find that someone has moved from scanty to 2 pluses, I think 3 pluses, and then they start convulsing. Now, it's the same thing with stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. If you do not address the trigger, then someone is going to be stressed today, stressed tomorrow, probably another day they're like, oh, really, maybe I'd be happy. But then the trigger is not addressed. And then they will move from one level of stress, and I think I've mentioned it here that stress runs on a spectrum. Level 1 is healthy stress, where you're still able to function. But if you don't deal with that trigger, you're going to get into a stage we call reaction stage. Reaction stage, now it has started getting intense, a little intense. It's not the same, casual. If you still don't deal with the trigger, you're going to get to stage 3, which is called injury stage. So if you had just a little anger here, now you're getting into serious outbursts here. And if you still don't address it, you're going to get to stage 4, which is the depression stage. Now this is a stage where it gets so intense. Please remember that the more stress hormones are generated in your body, the more energy you lose. And I think I've mentioned it here.
Yeah.
The energy most dominant part of our energy is what we call psychological energy or psychic energy or emotional energy, right? That is 80% of a person's energy. Now, the more you get stressed, the more energy you lose. So when we talk about depression, at this stage, someone has no energy. You see, that's why we see a withered person. So the depression, therefore, here is characterized by low energy because of the intensity of stress hormones. That's number one, but also extreme sadness, as we mentioned it, and hopelessness. That's why I was talking about hope, because we invest hope, but by this time it's been drained. And so they've moved from helplessness at stress level to hopelessness, right?
Yeah.
And so they are saying life has lost
point?
meaning. So that's where, at this stage, people are contemplating suicide. They don't contemplate suicide at stage one. No, here you still have hope. But here you've dealt with an issue, it has been on, it's been on, and you've gotten to a point where like,
Never going to be resolved.
So this is where people get withered, they get withdrawn, they don't want anyone to show up in their space being happy because they are sad. So that's why they get withdrawn. So I hope I've given it.
That was a really good, what do I call it, expose on, first of all, how depression starts and then escalates to becoming what it is. Dorcas, do you have anything to
How
add?
it manifests, and I think just to add on to Dr. Evers, she explained the spectrum, but I also want to say, because from the point you also said, they say pwekoza, the kind of like, I think it's because one, there's a way in which depression as a word has been misused in some circles, like, for instance, I'm depressed. Someone says I'm depressed.
When they're just stressed.
When they're just stressed, level one. So sometimes people do not take it as a serious issue. But it's also important to note that there is depression can be mild, moderate, or severe. And this is what we call clinical depression, where you go to the extent of getting medicated and that kind of thing. So it's important to know whether whatever I'm going through is mild, moderate, or because we are used to the severe depression, one which is clinical and you have to get all the medication, but it doesn't have to get to that. But back to the way it manifests in marriage, loss of pleasure or interest in daily activities. When someone is not well, even the activities they used to enjoy doing, if they try to do it, comes with a lot of effort. You have to put in a lot of effort to do simple things like maybe cleaning around the home, that kind of thing. Everything takes a lot of effort to do. And then the other thing is, even they stop taking care of themselves, you know. I like Rachel, she always has her makeup and all that. But you can imagine, I shouldn't say Rachel, but if you really got depressed, then even things like taking care of yourself, putting makeup, caring about how you dress, you feel like, why am I doing it? Should I, like, there's no point of doing it. But also with that, if you have children, then even there's less care for them or support. So you'll be around, probably sleep, and then the children have not had a meal, or you can stop caring about the children. If you're blessed to have a house help, and they may help, but you, especially as for that can happen, like for mothers, we, should I say, ignore, or we stop taking care of our children and supporting them, and we just lay around and do all that. So, and it can also come with a loss of appetite. But sometimes it actually has two extremes. There are people who, when they're depressed, they really eat. They really eat. But then there are those who instead reject the food, and you just find it's 4 p.m. and you haven't eaten anything. And then another day comes by and you still haven't eaten anything. And it's almost like what Dr. Eva said. You really don't want people around you. Like you wish isolation. You wish no one would come visiting. You wish.
So does that mean including your partner, your spouse?
Oh yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And there are even instances where people fail to clean up their houses. You even pulling curtains, simple things like pulling your curtains, that sunshine can come into the house. They become so difficult. You prefer to be in a dark room as opposed to having all this light coming in. So all that can happen, but also normal functioning. Simple things like bathing, showering, taking a bath, and all that, they become foreign, for lack of words. Yeah, so
They become like a chore.
yes, you start questioning, should I, shouldn't I do it? And also things like if you're the person who used to enjoy going to church and that kind of thing, you would rather stay home, and then you drag yourself to work because, especially if you feel like we need the income. But on some days, you're almost like, if we didn't need this income. But when it becomes severe, you won't even care whether you need the income or not. You will even stop going to work. Yeah.
So, and I mean, just hearing you speak, I understand. I think that's generally, whether it's a child being depressed, a single person, a married person, the way it manifests is pretty similar. But I think let's talk about what causes it in marriage. So for the man, what would typically cause depression for a husband, and then what would cause depression for a wife? What could potentially cause depression for a wife? Does it typically come from the outside? Would you say, external factors, or is it always or more often the things that happen within the marriage?
Well, Rachel, I think, so what Dorcas has talked about actually is general. Every depressed person will experience self-abandonment, take to self-abandonment. But all the things she has said, you can see how they are related to loss of energy.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the first thing is that depression sucks.
It does.
It just sucks. And why we are sharing this is that whoever is experiencing a challenge, please deal with it before it gets depressive. Because all of us are candidates of depression. Now, I already set questions for you, Rachel. I wanted to share something very quickly. I love statistics. Maybe I could talk about the depression in men vis-a-vis women, married men vis-a-vis married women. Apparently, research done here in Uganda shows that married women are more depressed than married men. For women, there's a study that was done by Mark Mohan Kagwa and others, others in 2019 here, and it was a study done on rural married women and men, and it showed that married women, 65.4% of married women were depressed. You see that?
More than half.
That is so scary. That's absolutely scary. And in other studies, I've seen that 33% of married men are depressed. So you can see this is like double. This is actually double. So women are twice more likely to be depressed than men. And I mean, they were looking at women aged 18 to 45 years again. So men and women depressed. But I wanted to add on what Dorcas has mentioned. In depression manifests differently in women than it does in men.
Yes.
Some of the things are general, but women, men, let me begin with men, escapist tendencies in men.
Yeah.
And so this is important for all of us married people. Especially I've met women who are confused, like I didn't see this coming, or men not knowing what to do and just to escape.
Yeah.
What are they escaping? They are escaping pain.
Yeah.
And again, let me just help us understand that no one is created to desire pain.
Yeah.
Pain. We all are created to desire pleasure.
Yes.
But now when pain happens, we have two choices, either to deal with it or to resolve it or to run.
Yeah.
Now, women always try to deal with pain.
it. Yeah.
That's why in most marriages you'll hear women say, can we talk about this? Can we talk about this? Because conversation is big, by the way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, men have not been nurtured to do what our son called to conversate. To conversate.
Yeah.
And conversation is healing. Conversation resolves.
Yeah.
But also, Dr. Eva, for women, conversation comes naturally. We are always talking.
Exactly, because we are conversational and we are expressive, more expressive than men. But we don't live off natural giftings only.
That's true.
Yeah, so we need to understand that we can learn these things because you see, women talk, and that's, by the way, the biggest outlet for us to release emotions.
Yeah.
Men bottle up.
Yeah.
So one of the ways they manage stress, or it manifests in them, is that they escape. So they run into what we call emotional hideouts. And so we see them get into bars. Those who didn't love soccer, and all of a sudden they're escaping into soccer. So always looking for even work. And so they're saying, I'm busy. But actually they are escaping a feeling, or a depressive feeling. And we are not saying that is okay. That's not okay.
Yeah.
It's called escapism.
Yeah.
And then some of them, of course, get into abusive behavior. Someone who was peaceful, all of a sudden they are eruptive. They, their anger outbursts. And so again, in my work, I hear people say, what's happening? I don't know what's happening to him, or. So it's very rare that a woman will get into. We all also get angry, but in a marriage setting, men tend to do this more. And why? Because they are bottling up. Now, every time we do emotional suffocation, because emotions are supposed to be released, both positive and negative. I always tell people, there are people who are dying of love. They don't know how to express it.
It's in there.
They say, me, my love is silent. Love is supposed to be expressed. Every emotion has to be released. So it's like we breathe in oxygen, release it. That's the same way it's supposed to flow. So for some people, emotions don't flow. They're just bottled up. Now, emotions are not supposed to be bottled up, right? They're supposed to be flashed out, and then you take in more, flashed out. Now, if they are positive, you give love, you receive love, right? So that's what it's supposed to be. But now, when they suffocate, then they look for an outlet. That's why they get into anger outbursts. That's how they get into aggressive behavior. Just a little thing, they get over the edge, fight. Now they get triggered. But then also we are seeing depressed men get into substance abuse. Substance abuse. Let me explain the psychology of it. Because when you have depression, you lack pleasure. When we lack pleasure, we can't live in that kind of state for long. So we get desperate for some pleasure. So what do we do then? what can give me? So we take something. That's how people get into drugs,
Mm.
and they get hooked. Because when you take a drug, when you take alcohol, it excites that part of your brain. Yeah, so it activates dopamine, and so you get a little excited, and so you're happy.
For a moment.
For a moment.
Yeah.
So it's momentary. But then when it gets off, you're even more depressed. Right? So that's how, so they get into that. But all this happens because they don't know how to express emotions. And I think we'll talk about it more because it's one of the things we recommend to men. Please don't bottle up and don't take pride in keeping quiet.
Yes.
Me, I just keep quiet. Me, when my wife disturbs me, I keep quiet.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. Women, on the other hand, I also didn't talk about social isolation. Social isolation tends to be more in men than in women.
Than women are expressive.
Yeah, because women are always seeking help. So by the time she crumbles,
and it's really
it is
severe.
after some, it's severe. It's the severe type that. But when they are still okay, they are looking for, can we talk? Please help me. I'm going through and all that, and then of course they also get withdrawn. Then they are shutting the world out of them and all that. Yeah. So it is. It's important that then we understand how it manifests. I thought I would add that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about what would lead a man to
be depressed.
Yes, to be depressed. Or what would lead a wife to get depressed?
Of course, high on the list for the men, and we've discussed this, is finances, because the way they are made or created is to provide. Oh, that doesn't mean women, we shouldn't provide, but for them it's like their identity is attached to having a source of income and being able to provide for your loved ones. So when that is not available, or they lose a job, or they don't have anything they are bringing to the table, it really affects them a lot, and they feel like, I'm not man enough. How can I not provide for my family? It makes them feel like they are less of a man.
Yeah. So that's definitely top on the list
for men.
But also, being demeaned. There are some men who are in relationships where they are being demeaned, or they are made to feel like they are not enough. You're not providing enough. And we have these statements all the time from the ladies of, it's just a picture in the house. A picture in the house. And it's because society has tried to attach him being a man to providing, to provision. But you see, men are a symbol of authority, whether they are providing or not. But for most, sometimes women don't know that. So because for one reason or another, he's not providing, or you're better than, the wife is better than him, or is bringing in more income, sometimes we tend to look down on the husbands and make them feel like you are not man enough. But some women even throw around those words to the men, like, you're not man enough. And that can really, and I think if it comes from someone who you are not married to, it may not have a lot of weight. But now in marriage, this is a person you stay with every day. Imagine if you wake up to that kind of, those kind of words every morning. You are nobody, I'm better than you, you are not man enough. That would make any man get depressed.
But also, can I just give you another side to it? I think I've also mentioned it on this show that the biggest danger the world has caused is to attach a man's value to money.
Yes,
the money
you've talked about this.
It's embarrassing because you see, even that provision, it's narrowed down. Provision is big.
Yes.
A leader is not just financial provision. You see, provision is leadership. It's provision of leadership. It's provision of strategic thinking. It's provision, it is that kind of protection, providing that protection of the family and all. And so it is big. And I wanted to say to talk about what Dorcas has mentioned, that women are throwing words around.
Yeah.
Some of the women actually have done nothing. Have done nothing to their partners. They value them. They are glad to say they still respect them. They support them.
But they'll still get
They'll
depressed.
still get depressed because they don't feel
Yes.
man enough. They don't
It's
feel man
internal.
enough because of what the world has told them.
Yes.
Now, maybe I should say something about that, Rachel. The whole idea of provision, why men get depressed because they are not able to provide, is also rooted in their being. That they are created to conquer. They have that, so there is a little bit of that inherent divine aspect of conquer, get this, be in charge and all. But that has to be managed.
Yeah.
It has to be managed. So what happens when you're not in charge?
Yeah.
You see, what happens if you're not able to conquer? We are all thrown in places of vulnerability from time to time.
Yeah.
So what happens? Do you die? Do you die? And you see, that I was just building on your. I mean, I've seen it. Like these dear wives are doing everything they can do to support, but someone is just
Stuck on their.
I mean, they're stuck on their provision thing, and they are even actually selling those thoughts to the wife. I'm not good enough. I'm
Like, now how do I help you?
Yeah, and so some wives are stuck.
Yeah.
So if someone makes a decision to wilt away, to shrink, because they are not able to provide, we probably wouldn't even put it on the ladies alone. My brothers need to know that it's a choice to view yourself a certain way, But I also wanted to say something about men and depression. And I think I've already talked about inability to do emotional cleansing.
Yes.
Inability, that emotional suffocation. Someone has said something wrong, you can't talk about it. They can't resolve issues in real time. And again, they've glamorized the whole idea of me, I drive away, or me, I keep quiet,
away.
or me, I walk away, or me, I want peace. What do you mean you want peace? Peace is embedded in problem solving. So you can't have peace when you have not solved problems.
Yes, you're sweeping things under the carpet.
Yes, so I think one of the reasons men are depressed is that they've not been helped to understand how to resolve problems. Now,
They don't know how to fail also. They know how to succeed.
which is
They know
so
how to
sad,
handle failure.
which is very sad, because, and I hope we start from today to raise men that know how to fail, because in life you'll fail. You'll fail. So that is emotional intelligence. You need to know that you're not going to succeed on every front. So what happens when certain things don't work out for you? Do you have tolerance, a tolerance rate that can help you to survive, to thrive? Are you able? Do you have some degree of yes? So how can you live that way? And so I think we need to change the message we give to men to say, look, before you view yourself a certain way, you're human. You're just human, and you're going to fail. You're going to experience what happens in this world. You're not going to have money in some seasons. You're going to lose a job. And so what is that resilience that you need? Like, what is your level of resilience to be able to withstand some of these challenges and transcend and emerge on the other side still healthy? Because I also know that in some cases, or some individuals, every challenge that comes, they die. then they are about to die completely, then they come out. Then another one, they die. Now, if you have that as a way of resolving issues in life, it won't take long. That's how some people are plunging into diseases. Because if your response to stressful triggers is to just experience the full spectrum, yes, of stress, then it's like a car overheating. Every time a car overheats, there are certain things that are spoiled inside there. I'm not a car person, but things burn. They burn. So every time you overheat, there are certain things that are going to burn. And so that's why people are diabetic, they are hypertensive, they are, because you do not regulate certain things and be able to deal with them and exercise some resilience and be able to solve issues, to solve problems, not for the benefit of your spouse, but for your own benefit. Because if you do not, depression is not a cup of coffee.
That's true. That's very true.
And I also want to say, and this may be for both ladies and men, unhealthy competition. Like, we have set up ourselves for, okay, it's good you said peer pressure. I used to think peer pressure was for teenagers. Oh, if you do not learn to live within your means and then tell yourself I'm enough, I'm on my way, I'm progressing, you can kill yourself from pressure. I mean, we work with families, or we enjoy company of other families, but it's very possible for us ladies look at Rachel and compare myself to Rachel, and I want everything she has, and then for our anniversary, for their anniversary, they went to, he bought her a car, and I need a car, you have to buy me a car, we've been married for, they're always giving her flowers, and social media hasn't helped this whole thing. So we have to be deliberate to learn, to know where we are at. I'm not saying we should settle for less, but we need to know life is a journey, and it has seasons. There will be seasons when we will have and learn to appreciate. But if we take the route of unhealthy competition, and sometimes also men get into those competitions, they are competing with another man for something, and if they cannot have it, and for men it was the levels they would go to get that thing.
I can already see that the comments on our TikTok account, like it's women who are making us. But it's not always women.
Women.
Sometimes competition is self-generated. It's a decision.
It's a decision you make. Whether you're going to have to live, a life. Actually, people have ended up living fake lives, and they live a different life. They get into debt, and then at the end of it, we even accumulate things which we don't even need. And then we are in debt, we have all these things. And at the end of the day, we are more depressed because then we have to suffer with fixing whatever. And it's always that thing of living a fake life. The unfortunate bit is when the world discovers you are living a fake life, they're also not lenient. Now that plunges you deeper into depression.
Yeah, I think even for the women, maybe in terms of what would trigger depression or prolonged stress, which then leads to depression, is unresolved conflict that goes unresolved for a very long time.
Yes, I wanted to share that. The three, I've studied a little bit about depression in women, in married women. Top three, I'll share top three. Top three, number one is substance in Uganda. In Uganda, it is actually substance abuse by partner.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah,
by the partner.
Yeah.
So, and it's very interesting, both rural and urban. So, alcohol. You know that someone has actually been asking. This is one of the other topics that they are asking about alcohol in marriage. And it doesn't surprise us because I think Ugandans have gain mastery on these three things. So let me first say the second one. The second one is extramarital affairs by partner. By partner. In women. Now again, I can hear some people say, but women are cheating. That's okay, but you see, we are talking about research. The occurrence is more in men than in women.
Yes.
And so, also this doesn't surprise me, because to be honest with you, we are experts on wrong things. In this country, we are experts on wrong things. The level of alcohol consumption in this country, we just need to give it thought. Whoever is listening and has authority needs to think a little deeper. The level of extramarital affairs,
those have become normal.
the level of infidelity in this country is worrying. Is worrying, because I was sharing with you earlier, it concerns me. Like, out of 10 people who call for help, 9 married people, they are dealing with infidelity. Like, what's happening here? What's happening? And so we are experts. In fact, I was just sharing with someone yesterday. I said, do you know that sex is like a big commodity in this country? Listen to our conversations. Conversations.
Yes.
Listen to radios. Listen to there's a lot of, like, the whole atmosphere has been sexualized. Sex. People are marketing sex. Oh, me, I'm good in bed. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, no. Listen to conversations around marriage. Marriage.
It's usually about sex.
It's about sex.
And
that's why it's just a big thing. So sex. And actually sometimes it worries me. I'm like, so you mean people, we are not able to be
have relationships
in marriage? But we have a very big challenge in this country. Extramarital relationships, these are big depressors.
Yes.
For women. And by the way, it's in that order. Alcohol.
Alcohol, yes.
Infidelity. Adultery. And then poverty, finances.
But interestingly, they seem like they are cousins, for lack of words. Like, when one comes, when one enters, then most likely you're going to.
Because imagine if there are no finances, but then the little finances that come in, the man uses them for alcohol, which alcohol is going to leave him out of the home for prolonged seasons, and then he'll meet other women. It's kind of like a cycle.
It's a cycle. You see, it is, and it is scriptural.
For some, yes.
That when one sin comes, he's going to bring other cousins. Yes. And of course, by the way, before we leave that, finances. There are so many men who are supporting multiple families.
It's insane.
Yes, because now you have the main family, and then now you have now people have apartments. So you're paying rent for
someone in an apartment.
One, rent for another girl in and girls who are as if they can't pay rent. I've never understood this.
Why would they pay rent when there's what do they call them? Blessers. When there's someone who can a sponsor. That's what they say.
So now they are going after sponsors and surviving on resources meant for families, for people's children.
People don't think about it that way.
Come on. By the way, I was thinking about it this morning as we prepared for this show. When God says, what I have put together,
let no
man put asunder. Let no man separate. Now, women, girls who are, I need rent. They are separating the family. Do you know that you're contending with the Lord Himself? Because this is a commandment. Let no one
put asunder.
Or no one should put us. I read different versions of the Bible. No one should.
Separate.
This is a commandment. and then you have a sponsor. And they are paying rent for you. Even when you're working and earning, you have a sponsor. Now, resources, men are losing resources. And they are on so much pressure.
Yeah.
So when you have 10 families, 10 apartments you're paying for.
Which is self-inflicted. Again, I can see our TikTok comments today.
I can see them honestly.
Like, but the women cheat alone. They cheat with
No, they don't. But men don't cheat with their wives. You're cheating with another woman.
Yes.
So that's a totally different. It's diversionally.
Yeah.
So we need to know. So these are the things actually that. So you can see for men, it is finances, it's emotional suffocation, it is what she talked about, rejection, the way they are treated, which is absolutely bad. And so, yes, belittled and all when they don't feel respected. When a man doesn't feel respected, they are going to wither. But then let's also take note of the do you see here it is substance abuse, it is extramarital affairs. It doesn't mean that women are not cheating. I've said it here. We are also seeing more innovative women. But then no, they are.
Innovative.
How I manage another man. But anyway, poverty and finances. So for women, finances come, like it's not such a big pressure, although of course we have some that are putting their husbands on pressure. So we're talking with statistics and here and these are trends, and of course they point to something that we are seeing. So they are not just statistics, but they are real.
That's true. So now that we know how it manifests and what causes it, like what triggers, what is likely to trigger depression in marriage, I want us to help our audience with whether some practical tools, what's the role of things like communication, empathy, professional support that both of you offer in helping a couple navigate depression. How do they even identify it, Because you've both said that this depression is on a spectrum. It can be mild, moderate, or severe. How does someone know, okay, now I need help, I need support, and the support of a professional? When do we move from, because most of us attend church, we have counselors in church who, God bless them, are, either volunteering or maybe are there to support the church members with some of these issues. How do we know that maybe now this issue I actually need to find a psychologist, because perhaps they need medication or they need to talk through deeper layers of what could be causing the depression? My question is, how do we help couples?
I think, Rachel, I would be glad that we talk about prevention.
Okay.
Yeah, the prevention. I think people need to know that we're not just there waiting for depression and then run to a therapist.
Yes.
And so I would like to talk about that a little bit. First of all, you've heard me say that I've mentioned that 90% of our health is relational. Okay? 80 of the 90 for married people, it's actually from our core relationships, which is marriage and family generally. Marriage, children, but marriage. Now, interestingly, compared to physical health, this relational health is more achievable. You see that? Because you see, you can in physical health, you can be predisposed to epidemics.
Yes.
That you have no control over. I mean, if COVID comes, you can only try to do a mask and still catch it, and it kills you. You can, the malarias of this world, we can't control mosquitoes. We try to do that. I mean, I'm talking about physical health. Sometimes we are so exposed. The food we eat, it has chemicals. You see, some of the cancers we are getting are from chemicals. But interestingly, that is just 10% of health. Which we cannot control. Now, I have mentioned something about relational health. this relational health that gives us all the energy, all the wellness, this is highly achievable.
Yes.
Because it is in the way we treat people, they treat us. You see? It is in the choices that we make. You see, it is in how we treat people. Let me say that. So where I wanted to go there, you asked about empathy and compassion and awe and grace and mercy and forgiveness and all that. These are choices.
Choose to be human.
You see, we love God. I was just talking to, I was preaching on Sunday, and I was telling people we love God. We enter church and say, oh, God is good all the time. All the time God is good, and that's his nature. Wow. You see, that nature, that's why I want to emphasize the nature of the spouse. When we say God is good, what do we love? He's faithful.
He's faithful, yeah.
He's kind. He's compassionate.
He's caring.
He's and we love him. We say, wow.
Dependable.
He's dependable. We can, I mean, we are sure. We think because he lives, we can face tomorrow. He's predictable. And you see, whatever God is, he wants us to be. We are all God's people. He wants us to be faithful in the way we relate. We relate with him, we wake up with, because we know that he is faithful. Even when he delays, he's faithful. Just imagine this was transferred to our relationships.
Wow.
Now, when we talk about marriage, when we marry, we are actually expecting these things.
Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we won't give them, but we're expecting
Yes,
them.
we are.
We should give them.
We should give them.
Yeah.
Would you like take a
Selfish
moment,
sometimes.
and think of a situation where partners decided to be faithful?
Imagine
Like
that.
all married people decided to be faithful to their partners. Imagine a world where people are kind to each other. Imagine a world where married people would never do what they wouldn't want done to them.
To them.
Yes.
Just imagine that. How would it look like? Isn't it beautiful?
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
To solve 90% of the world's problems.
You see that? I saw that. I actually saw that
Yes.
if people became the kind of humans they were created to be, we would solve 80% of the world's problems.
Yeah.
Look at that. 80%.
80% of the world's problems are rooted in our character,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
in our behavior.
Yeah.
So if people chose to be faithful in marriage, to be predictable, if they chose to communicate,
Yeah.
I mean, I've had advice
And
like,
communication.
oh, you know, when your husband hasn't come, don't call them. Don't call them. I can't
is
stand
That remain
that.
single in marriage.
Yes, don't call them because you're going to depress them. And when they come, don't ask them where they have been. Just imagine once again, please close your eyes and imagine a world where we had accountable partners, where we had considerate people who say, oh, I've delayed, sorry, I'm still here. Just a simple thing.
Either way.
Just a simple. You see, people are running after phones. Oh, phones have killed my. By the way, these things are helpful. Imagine a world where we didn't have phones, but now you have it, and you can actually inform your partner and say, "Sorry, I've delayed here. Yeah, I'm not there." Imagine a world where married people were committed to their marriages.
Yeah.
The same way we are committed to our jobs.
The way we are committed to jobs.
That's true.
Imagine that world. Where would depression come from?
Nowhere.
Where would it come from? It's coming from stress, anxiety, anxiety today, anxiety tomorrow, anxiety another day. And then
chronic.
someone is being told, don't be anxious. you know, when your partner comes, just be good. But you don't even know where they are. Now look, we ran a session recently where I mentioned something about people going back home late. Where now we have families where a partner doesn't show up until 5, 6. And then when I saw comments, in just one day, Rachel, we had comments from ladies. You know, the TikTok is very interesting. I love your comments. And sometimes when you run a clip, then you see only men comment. And then they say, I don't see women here. But you know, that was one of them. And then people were saying, women said, oh, you know me, my husband doesn't come for a week. Mine doesn't come until 3 days. Like in a week, he comes once. And I thought, what kind of marriages do we have? Does it then surprise you that 8 out of every 10 marriages, people are depressed?
Not at all.
Does it surprise you?
No.
No. So now, if we behave that way, so you see, the most sure way to manage depression is not just to go for therapy. Please come for therapy.
Yes.
I'm happy to support you.
Yeah.
But it is in the way we behave.
Change character.
It's in the way we behave. It's in the way we behave. And unfortunately, let me again talk about like infidelity. I just feel sorry for people who are running such projects because are you a Superman? Like, are you a magician? And I hear some of them say, oh, I can manage. And the one who was asking me, but can't I love 2 people at the same time? Are you a magician? Like how? You don't have a spare heart, nor do you have a spare brain.
Can I love 2 people at the same time?
The same way.
It's not possible.
It's not true. You see, one of the things that people forget is that when God told us to marry one person, He was actually protecting us from depression.
Yes.
On Saturday, I went out with our son to swim. And so where we were swimming, a little baby was riding a scooter. So he had a dad, and the dad gave him a scooter, but he was trying to help him do the riding from a distance. But this boy, when he got a scooter, and he was beginning to ride, he saw himself in the water, in the pool water. So he said, oh, now he wanted to ride from near the pool.
So he could see himself.
So that he could see himself in the pool. And then the dad kept saying, go and ride. Then he would check when the dad is not sick, he comes and he wants to ride from here. Now, just imagine the dad left him. He would have plunged into this pool together with a scooter. God knows whether he knew how to ride or not. Now, that's exactly what God is doing. He's saying, marry one woman and be faithful to them. Marry one man, be faithful to them. Now, when we are faithful, we are actually protecting ourselves from depression. Right? I've had people talk about phones, how they've killed marriage. Now, just imagine, do you know that for some people, the only reason they still have a marriage is because of a password on a phone?
Phones have not been checked.
It's because the phone has not been accessed. But you see, what they are not told is that that information you're storing there is causing you anxiety.
Yes. You may not know it, but
you don't know. Because every time you're anxious, oh my God, that's why people are bathing with a phone. They are falling in bathrooms with a phone. But before they fall, they are, you see, the brain, you're taxing the brain too much. You're activating so much stress hormones because you're not at peace. So when God said, don't do that, He's protecting you from plunging into the swimming pool. You know, yes. You see, He wants you to be protected because God's laws were given to protect us. not to deprive us. So when he says, one woman, one man, please do that. It is for your own benefit. I can't imagine managing another man.
Salongo, you're blessed.
Like how?
Where do you start?
Like, what do I tell them? That I love them?
But we need to hide our relationship because
Because that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like you're putting so much pressure on yourself. Don't do that. Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
Do yourself a favor to be faithful.
Yeah.
So you see all the causes we have talked about. If, for instance, you made a decision to communicate, to share talk about your needs, to say, I was teaching our son last night about how to lay boundaries in relationships. And I told him, you see, don't leave people to guess, to mind read. Talk to them, tell them, I like it when you treat me this way. Now I'm hoping that at age 11, when he gets that, by the time he turns into a man, he's not going to allow this abuse in relationships. He's going to say, no, that one I will not take it. I will not take it. So it is important that we know that our happiness is rooted in how we manage the relationship, because it is either happiness or depression.
That's true.
It's simple. So
Dr. Evans has almost said it all, but let me say it this way. If we cannot prevent, as Doka has said, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for the children. I can tell you, I have met children in the counseling room, and it's almost like 90%, by the way, of our children's problems are originating from us as parents. And I can assure you, we are raising a damaged generation. And this cycle, unless we prevent certain things, the cycle will continue. When I mean damaged generation, we can't even get into that right now. But when you hear cases of children as young as 9 committing suicide, we need to pay more attention, because when we are running around with all these issues, the people we least think about are the children. But now we are faced with children and we complain, immoral, the children are doing this, they are immoral, they are doing what? But have we thought about the fact that we are modeling this for our children? But because our children are young and they have not developed the capacity to take it all in, they instead look for dangerous, unhealthy ways to be able to manage all the circus which is going on in our world today. Parents, 90% of our children's issues are resulting from us. We are complaining about children taking drugs and all that, but a child, and Dr. Vasinte Donit said the men take drugs and all that, but let me tell you, a child who is overwhelmed by parents who are either fighting each other or running around, by the way, our children even know about these extramarital affairs. And sometimes when your spouse doesn't know, but the children know. I've been a counseling room and the children tell me this. But when they get so overwhelmed, their friends tell them, there's something I can give you to help you, to be happy, get your mind off of this. And you know what they tell them? They give them drugs. And when they take these drugs, indeed, they feel for a moment they don't have to face what is going on in their family. So parents, if we cannot fight this for our own sake, do it for the next generation. Otherwise, we are raising a damaged generation, and that is dangerous for our society.
Thank you both. I want.
But also children picking depression from their parents. And I've never forgotten a child who sat after all this chaos and comes into my room and goes like, I feel lost. I feel lost.
So they are mirroring the depression and that is happening with the parents. So if you're not taking care of yourself, your child is going to pick up on that emotion. Yeah, I think this has been quite helpful. Thank you both for sharing many things. I mean, just opening our eyes to what could potentially cause depression. I think that was very clear for both the men and the women, but also the emphasis on preventing depression by just being a good human being. You know, let's work on our character, work on our personalities and behavior, and just be good and kind to ourselves first, and then to the people around us. That's, in this case, your spouse and your children. So thank you again. I don't know if you have last thoughts.
Yeah,
in a
so
few
for
seconds.
me is to say that depression is real. Depression, once again, is not just a concept, it is a condition. And in any one of us can be depressed.
Yes.
And because relationships are challenging, it's very easy to be depressed. So when you're depressed, number one, don't be embarrassed. Just to know that depression, like malaria, can be treated. Because most people have a lot of stigma. They are ashamed that they are depressed. No, it is okay. It's okay. Seek help. Seek help. That's why therapists were trained to support you. Reach out and get help. But most importantly, get help for your relationship. Because relational science is a science. And so the skills we need, I think I've mentioned it here again, Rachel, that 80% of relationship management is skill. And so these skills, sometimes we don't know them. Things like self-discovery, it is a skill.
Yeah.
So discovering yourself, self-awareness, social awareness, but most importantly, skills like communication, negotiation, conflict resolution, problem solving, and all. This is skill. So seek help. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Reach out and get help.
Yeah, and almost like what Dr. Ivas has said, depression is progressive. Please don't wait to get to the severe or clinical depression. If you can work through it when it's still mild, adopt a healthy coping mechanism. And when you go to reality check, you'll find all this information. Get information and put it into practice. But also, like someone said, how would you feel like if you end up with a lot of money and no family to share it with?
It happens.
Because we think if I have a lot of money, I have a house, I have mansions, I have cars and all this. But imagine a situation where you are in this big mansion, 20 rooms, there are 10 cars parked in your compound, and maybe you're the CEO of it, you own so many businesses, and you sit in your house alone because you didn't manage your relationships, and now you are faced with loneliness. I guess if I was in your position, I would take the other option. Take care of your core relationships so that you never end up in that position. A lot of things, and very lonely and miserable.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Evers and Dorcas. So much to learn. I hope your notebook is full with tips on how you can navigate this monster called depression in marriage, but also just giving you an opportunity to evaluate where you are in your own marriage space and what you can do to find the help that you need. Once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Let us know in our comment section if you're joining for the first time. We'd love to hear from you and welcome you in a special way. Or if there's something that has resonated with you, again, please do share that feedback with us. We also see your suggestions of topics that we should tackle. Please do share those. We're always looking for ways to have even more engaging conversations. So let us know in our comment section. Until next week, stay well, stay healthy. And don't forget to subscribe to Reality Check.